Alright, what's up guys? NinjaDeathStrike here, bringing you a tournament report from my Theros pre-release. This is something I want to try and do semi-regularly, as I am planning to try and do a little bit of competitive play this year with Magic the Gathering. Not super competitive, probably just local stuff, but I do want to make a record of it so I can go back and watch how I did, and also so you guys can follow along with me. I'll probably be talking about deck choices and things like that as well, but today we're going to talk about how I did at my local game store's pre-release. So I already recorded this once, but I don't know, Camtasia just had a fit and it wouldn't render it. You know, if it was like 5 minutes it would put it out, but then if I tried to do the whole thing with pictures, it made a black video. And it was really frustrating. I spent all day yesterday trying to fix it. So this one is going to be a lot shorter than that one, unfortunately. The last one I went really into depth with how things went, but I'm going to try and do it a lot quicker so that hopefully this thing actually gets finished. But anyhow, my store had back-to-back pre-releases, so I got to play in two. And the first one I took second, and the second one I tied for first. So overall I did really well. And I was really happy with how I ended up doing. I also won 13 packs of Theros total, so that was nice. I've opened them now. I'll be putting one of those videos up right after this one, probably, so you can check that out too and see how I did off of my pulls from the pre-release. That's a very hard word to say. So anyhow, the first round, or the first tournament, if you don't know how the pre-release works, when you come in with Theros, you pick a path, which basically aligns to one of the 5 mana colors. And so I picked Path of Ambition, which was black, and you get 6 packs. You get 5 regular booster packs of Theros and 1 seeded pack. And the seeded pack is guaranteed to have more cards of the color you picked, as well as a rare promo card and another rare that's in your color. So you're guaranteed 2 rares of the color you pick. I picked black. I got Abhorrent Overlord, which I will try and put up on the screen. But if this video won't render with the pictures, then I'm sorry. You're just going to have to look them up. I'll leave a list, I guess, in the description if that happens. But I got Abhorrent Overlord was the promo, and then in my seeded pack, I got Agent of the Fates, who is pretty good. He's actually a card I'm interested to try in Standard and see if I can get him to work in some kind of like humans deck, but he seems really cool because every time you target him with a spell, he makes your opponent sack a guy. So, Heroic's one of the new mechanics. Again, in the other video, I explained all the new mechanics, but I don't know if this video is going to render if I make it really long. So basically, with Heroic, every time you target your own guy with any spell you cast, you get a special bonus. And Agent of the Fates has the best bonus because he makes them kill a guy. And his picture is awesome. So those were the 2 rares I got out of the seeded pack. And then unfortunately, in my booster packs, I didn't get a whole lot of good stuff. Well, that's not true. The problem was that all of the stuff was in different colors. Now, when you're playing a sealed tournament, which means you just open 6 packs and make a deck out of only the cards you open. You can't trade or anything like that. You want the majority of your rares all to be in the same couple of colors, because then you can make that deck. And my problem with the first tournament was all of my rares were in different colors. I got, I think, 2 blue rares, a red rare, another black rare, and a white rare. And so it was too diverse, and on top of that, I didn't get any really good common and uncommon creatures. I had a very weak pool overall. I did get 2 other really good cards that made me decide to go white-black. The first was Whip of Erebos. In Theros, each god, there's 5 gods, and then each god has a signature weapon. This is the Black God's weapon, and it's an amazing card in Limited. It gives all of your guys lifelink, so it has an immediate impact on the board if you cast it before you attack. And for 4 mana, you can bring a guy back from your graveyard and attack with him for a turn. Then he gets exiled. So that card was phenomenal in sealed, and it's actually a card I'm going to try and make work in my standard deck, I think. But anyhow, I got that, and then my other bomb was Celestial Archon, which was actually the white promo, and it's for 5 mana, it's a 4/4 flying first strike, which is really good in and of itself, and then you can also bestow it, which is another new mechanic, and basically it means if you pay a little bit more mana, he actually comes in as an enchantment instead of a creature, and then when the creature he's enchanting dies, then he turns back into the creature, so you basically get he has 2 lives, which makes him really strong, because it means if they kill the creature, you don't get blown out. You have this other guy who just shows up ready to go. So those were my four main rares. And after that, it was a very, very weak pool. I actually didn't even get enough good black and white cards to do just black and white. I had to splash blue too. And anytime you have to play 3 colors in a seal pool, you really don't feel good about it, and I definitely didn't feel good about it. So I had a couple of the other bestow creatures, the smaller ones. I had the cards out the first time I did this, but now I'm gonna have to remember their names. I believe it was Hopeful Eidolon, which gave +2/+2 in Vigilance. I had Cavern Lamphead. No, maybe, I don't know what it's called. Cavern Lamphead, which gave +2/+2 in Intimidate, and then I had one Nimbus Naiad, which gave +2/+2 in Flying. So I had 5 total. 2 of the white, 2 of the black, and 1 of the blue, so I've had them in there. I had a Triton Tactics and a couple of other cards to target so that Agent of the Fates could maybe kill some guys. So I didn't feel good about the deck at all. I knew it was underpowered, because Theros is all about making these huge guys and then just swinging in with them, and I didn't have that in my deck. I knew it was going to get overpowered, and on top of that, I didn't get any good removal. One of the reasons I chose black, other than the fact that I like black the most, was that I wanted a shot at some good removal spells, and black has good removal spells, they always do, but I didn't get any of those spells in my packs, none. I got 1 black removal spell, and it cost 6 mana. And then I got a couple of white that cost 6 mana, so I had a very, very slow removal, and I knew I was going to have a hard time with it. So anyhow, I made the deck. I didn't feel good about it. This was my first competitive Magic match ever. I get paired up with a guy. It's also his first game, so that was nice. I wasn't way in over my head. And round 1, I was playing against White-Red Heroic. He had a lot of the humans from those colors that get little buffs when you target them, usually +1/+1 counters. That were most of his guys. His main card was Phalanx Leader, which for 2 white, every time you can target him, all of your guys get +1/+1. That's a really good card. I don't know if it can make it to Constructed or not, but it's close. It's close to good enough. So for game 1, he got that guy out along with some other guys, and he was making them bigger by targeting them with the heroic ability, and I was just getting beat down. It was actually down to, I think, like 18-3 with me on the losing end, but I drew the Whip of Erebos. I was able to play that, and then because I had lifelink, I was able to start blocking and attacking and gaining life, and slowly I clawed my way back in. As I said, he was new. He made a couple very questionable decisions. He had his Celestial Archon that he was trying to wait to bestow, but he could have just cast it for 5 and probably won, because I didn't have any flyers out on the board at that point in time. So that was a mistake. He made a couple bad attacks as well, or bad blocks, and eventually I was just able to inch my way back in thanks to the bow. Not the bow, the whip. So that was game 1. Game 2, he got mana screwed. I think he only got 3 mana the whole game, and I just beat him because I didn't. So uneventful, but first match I won, so I was 1-0. I was already doing better than I expected, especially given the deck that I had. I expected to go pretty much 0-2 drop, but I won my first match. So then moving on to round number 2, I was facing another red-white deck, but this one was more focused on the monstrous ability than the heroic. And monstrous is something that some of the cards have where you cast them for a cheaper cost, and then at any point in the game you can pay their casting cost plus some extra mana, and they get bigger, and then they usually get an ability too. So this deck was a lot more threatening. It was a little slower, but the cards that this guy had were better. And on top of all the monstrous guys, he had Perforos, the God of the Forge, which is a mythic rare that is really good, and it deals damage to me every time he plays a creature. So the first game of this match went much like the first game of the last one. I got knocked down to around under 5, got the whip out, and came back. And then the second game, he actually got Perforos down. Now, Perforos isn't a creature most of the time. You have to have a bunch of other red cards, and he never got that. So, but he got the ability going, knocked me down again. He got some huge creatures out, and the second game, I just got really lucky. Like, really lucky. I had no business winning that game, but I drew my crappy removal spells right as I needed them. You know, just as his guys went monstrous, I'd draw the removal off of the top and be able to kill them. And so he was never able to get that last bit of damage through, and then I came back again. Also, Agent of the Fates came in handy there. I was able to target him a couple times, make him sack his guys, and so I got a win that I definitely had no place winning. And the guy I was playing was actually the shop owner. He was pretty upset when he lost. I'm sure that it stung that I was brand new, and I clearly did not have as good a deck as he did, and I beat him 2-0. So he actually just walked away from the table after the second game and didn't say anything, left his cards on the table, and I felt pretty awkward. But he got over it, I think, so hopefully he won't hold it against me. Anyhow, I was 2-0 at that point, so I was feeling pretty good. I should mention at this point that my local game store is very small. It's not like this was a giant, 50, 60 person pre-release. We had 10 people, so we were only doing 4 rounds. And the fact that I was 2-0 meant that I had a pretty decent shot at placing. The store owner does pay down at least to 4th, I think, so I had a pretty good shot at least being able to make 4th and get something extra out of my first tournament. So moving on to round 3, my opponent was playing white blue. I want to say white green. Was playing white green, and the cards that he opened were just insane. Like, his card pool was out of control. He got the green god, he had the blue weapon, he had the Kraken, a bunch of really good blue and green spells. No, he was playing white-green, I'm sorry, not blue. He was playing white-green because they had 2 of the something heroes that have the 2/2 double strike, and they get bigger every time you target them. He had 2 of those guys. So his pool was just way better, and it showed. This match, I didn't get lucky. The first match, we actually had a decent game. I was hanging in there, but eventually his deck just overpowered mine because his cards were better than mine. I did as much as I could, but I just couldn't stop all of the threats he had. So I ended up losing, and then game 2, I just got mana screwed. I only got 3 mana on the board, so I wasn't able to play any of my removal or most of my creatures, and it was over pretty quick because I didn't really do anything that game. So I dropped down to 2-1, and I still felt okay about maybe being able to place, especially if I won again. I would actually probably take second, since my only loss would be to the guy that was... Well, if that guy won and I won, then I would take second, because he'd be 4-0 and I'd be 3-1 with my only loss to him. But at this point, it was getting kind of late, and a couple people had to leave. So my other opponent, who was also 2-1, actually left at 2-1. So I got a bye the last round and went 3-1, and the other guy won. He went 4-0, so I ended up taking second with a very bad deck due to some very lucky circumstances. So I took second in my very first tournament, and then the next one was right after. We got to do it again. I chose to play black again. I thought about switching to blue, but I like black. I like playing black. It's my favorite color, and I wanted to have fun more than anything. So I picked black again, and this time my sealed pool was amazing. I got the demon again. I got another Whip of Erebos in one of my packs. I got a Hero's Downfall, which is a premium removal spell, one of the best removal spells in the set because it only costs 3 mana and it kills anything, and it can kill planeswalkers. I got a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which is a very good black common, as well as a Prophet of somebody, some god, I don't remember the name. That I got 2 of those, and they let you discard a card from your opponent's hand, so those were good. And I got some really good blue cards as well. The MVP of tournament number 2 was Prognostic Sphinx, a 3/5 flyer who lets you scry 3 every time he attacks, and you can make him hexproof. That card is phenomenal and limited. It's impossible to kill. Because you can scry, it means you get to look at the cards on the top of your deck, and you get to put them down however you want. And so it makes sure that you always draw good cards. And I got Sea God's Revenge, which is a blowout card in limited. It's so good against heroic and monstrous, and it won me numerous games. I got a couple Grip Tides, and so I had a very, very solid deck. Like, the deck pretty much just built itself. I just pulled out the stuff that I wanted to play, and I had 13 creatures, 17 lands, and a set of good spells. So, okay, I just went with it. I mean, that was easy. And we got started. So round 1, I was playing someone I didn't play the first tournament. He was playing blue-white control, and I was playing blue-black control. So it was a very grindy game. Game 1, he just overwhelmed me with one of his white cards. It was like Herald of Heliod or something like that, where when it comes into play, it just puts a bunch of 1/1 guys equal to your devotion to white. And he had 2 of them, and he got them back-to-back, and he had like 10 guys on the board. And I didn't have any mass removal. There isn't any mass removal in the set, so he just swarmed me. Ended up losing. Second game, he didn't get that guy nearly as fast, and I had a lot of removal to deal with his early guys. On top of that, I had some of my own guys that came down pretty good. I had a Breaching Hippocamp, which is a horsefish with flash, so I used that to kill one of his guys and then attack to kill another. And I also got the whip down that game, so my life total just went way ahead of his. I ended up at like 46 life. He did get the Mythic Sphinx, Midomi the Ageless, or something like that. He had that guy in his deck. He played him that time, but he came down so late that his ability to give extra turns didn't even matter. I was that far ahead, and I killed it before it attacked. So second game went to me. Third game was really grindy. We actually ended up going to time. In that game, he had a bunch of flyers down early that I was just struggling to deal with because my deck didn't have a lot of flying. But I did get the whip down, and then I was able to make attacks into him to gain back the life I had lost, and we ended up stalled, but I finally was able to punch through some damage. I ended up winning on turn 3 of time, which was really good because the table beside us actually had to draw, and that's bad. If you have to draw turn 1, you're not in match 1, you're not in good shape. So just barely pulled off a win in round 1 with a deck that I felt was way better than my first deck. So that definitely made me nervous. Round 2, I got paired with one of the guys that had to draw, which was a little unfortunate for my record, since you never want to get paired down. And he was playing green-red Face Beater. He had Xenagos the Reveler, which is one of the planeswalkers from the set, and a bunch of green and red heroic guys that just got real big real fast. And he also had a bunch of ramps. So game 1, I got Sea God's Revenge. I waited for him to get 3 good guys on the board. I sent them all back to his hand, and he didn't have enough mana to cast them in time again. And I won because I slowed him down so much. In game 2, he just exploded. He got mana guy, big guys, and just overwhelmed me. I made a really bad play that game. I had one of my removal spells that I thought was an instant, but it turned out to be a sorcery, so I didn't kill one of his guys on my turn, thinking I could do it on his. Then I realized I couldn't, so I actually ended up taking 6 points of damage I didn't need to. I had started to stabilize towards the end, but I was too far gone, and he just burned me out with his red cards. So we went 1-1 into Game 3 again, and then Game 3 was pretty much like Game 1. I had control of the match with my annoying control deck, and he never got his guys to stick, so I ended up winning pretty easily, except for the second game, which was my fault for losing. So I went 2-0, and because people had left, we only did 3 rounds the second tournament, and there were only 2 people who were at 2-0, me and the guy that beat me last time, who ended up going EXO to win the first one. So because we were the only 2 undefeated players, we decided just to draw and intentionally split the pot. I got 7 more boosters, which I didn't have time to open because the store owner wanted us out at that point. So I brought them home. I've opened them up. I opened them after I did my first take of this, so that'll be going up right after this. You can see what I got. I would highly encourage you to watch it because it's really good. And that was my first tournament, so hopefully you guys liked it. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Check out the links in the description, and hopefully I will have more coming your way shortly. Thanks for watching, guys.